There's a strange problem a lot of gamers have today. We start games, we get excited about them, we play for a few hours, maybe even a few days, and then we stop. Not because the game was bad, not because we didn't enjoy it, but because something pulled us away. Another game released, a friend asked us to play something online, or maybe we just lost motivation. And before we know it, the game sits in our library unfinished, then another one joins it, and another, and eventually we realize something's weird. We love gaming, but we barely finish games anymore. At some point, gaming stopped being about completing journeys and became more about constantly starting new ones. So today, I want to talk about something simple, but surprisingly difficult: how to actually complete a game. Not just start it, not just play it for a weekend, but experience this full story. The first thing we need to understand that there's a problem with this. It's extremely common. In fact, most players don't finish most games. If you look at achievement data across many titles, you'll notice something surprising. A huge percentage of players never reach the final mission. Sometimes it's only 20 to 30%. That means the majority of people who buy a game never see how it ends. And there are a few reasons for that. First, games today are massive. Not only they can take thousands of hours to complete, but also they take up a lot of storage on your computer or console. There's side quests, collectibles, upgrades, exploration systems, and endless distractions going on. While these systems add to content, they also stretch the experience. And when something takes too long to finish, motivation slowly fades. The second reason is choice overload. Most gamers today have access to hundreds of games, if not thousands. Digital libraries, subscription sales, and free titles mean there's always something new waiting for you. When you know another experience is one click away, it becomes harder to stay committed to the current one. And finally, there's the way we play games today: multiplayer games, social media streaming, and constant updates that divide our attention. We rarely sit down with a single game for weeks at a time anymore. Instead, our gaming time is fragmented, and fragmentation makes finishing anything difficult. The first thing you need to change if you want to actually complete games again is a different mindset. Instead of thinking about gaming as endless entertainment, you have to start thinking about games as journeys. Every game is designed with a beginning, a middle, and an end. When you stop halfway through, you experience only part of what the developers created. Imagine watching half a movie and turning it off forever, or reading half a book and never finishing the story. That's essentially what happens when we abandon games. And the strange thing is, some of the best moments in games happen near the end. Story payoffs, character conclusions, and final challenges. These moments are designed to reward players who stay until the end, but many players never reach them. So the first mental shift is simple: treat games like experiences worth finishing, not just temporary distractions. Another thing you need to do is stop playing too many games at once. One of the biggest reasons people don't finish games is because they start too many at the same time. You begin one game, then another releases, then a friend invites you to try something else. Suddenly, you're juggling about 5 games in your inventory and you can't do nothing about it. And when your attention is divided that much, none of them progress very far. The solution is surprisingly simple: focus on one main game. If it helps, you can uninstall the other ones to make it even easier. But if you want to finish something, it needs to be primarily your experience for a while. When you consistently return to the same world, characters, and mechanics, progress becomes more natural. Momentum starts to build. And before you realize it, you're approaching the final chapters of the game. One thing that I would recommend you do is don't try to 100% everything. Another trap players fall into is completionism. And the moment they start a game, they feel they need to absolutely do everything: every side quest, every collectible, and every hidden location. But many games include optional content specifically designed to extend playtime. Trying to do everything can turn a 20-hour experience into an 80-hour grind, and eventually, players will burn out. The secret to finishing games is understanding what actually matters: the main story, the core experience. If side activities feel fun, do them. But if they start to feel like chores, just skip them. Remember, finishing the game doesn't mean exhausting every piece of content in it. It means reaching the ending. One thing that's really good to do is create immersion. If you try to be fully immersed, time passes quickly. You want to return to the world. You feel invested in what happens next. But immersion is fragile. Notifications, distractions, and multitasking constantly break it. If you want to complete games more often, try creating dedicated gaming sessions. Turn off distractions, put on headphones, allow yourself to disappear into the game for a little bit. When gaming becomes focused instead of scattered, stories become easier to follow, and finishing them becomes way more natural. Here's something that's important to understand. Not every game deserves to be finished. Sometimes we stop playing because the experience genuinely isn't enjoyable to us, and that's okay. Forcing yourself through something you don't like defeats the purpose of gaming. The goal isn't to finish every game, but the goal is to finish the games that truly capture your interest as a person. If a game loses your attention completely, it's okay. Move on to a different one. But if you enjoy the experience and are just drifted away, that's when it's worth returning to. Momentum is one of the most powerful forces in gaming and in life. When you play a game consistently, everything becomes easier. You remember the controls, you understand the mechanics, you stay connected to a story. But when you take long breaks, something strange happens. Returning becomes harder than ever. You forget what you were doing, you lose familiarity with systems, and restarting feels overwhelming. So instead of long gaps, try shorter but consistent sessions. Even 30 minutes a day can maintain momentum, and momentum leads to completion. There's a unique feeling that comes from completing a game. The final mission ends, the music swells, the credits begin to roll, and suddenly you realize you've reached the end of a journey. The feeling is rare today because many players rarely experience that, but when you do finish a game, something interesting happens. The experience stays with you longer, the story feels complete, and the world you spend hours exploring becomes a memory rather than an unfinished task. Completion gives games emotional closure, and without that closure, experiences can feel incomplete. Believe it or not, finishing games might be one of the best ways to make gaming feel special again. When every experience is abandoned halfway through, memories blur together, but when you complete a journey, it stands out. You remember the characters, the final battle, the ending, the moments you stay with, and the far horrible experiences you may have encountered in the game. And over time, your gaming history becomes filled with complete stories instead of just fragments of them. Gaming today offers more experiences than ever before, but abundance can sometimes make commitment harder. We jump from game to game, always chasing something new, yet some of the most rewarding moments in gaming happen at the end of the journey. So next time you start a game you genuinely enjoy, try something different. Stick with it. Focus on the main story, ignore the pressure to do everything, and allow yourself to reach the end and become immersed. Because finishing a game isn't just about completing the objectives, it's about experiencing the full story someone worked years to create. And sometimes the best part of a game is the moment when your credits finally begin to roll.